So I have a trick question for you today. When is the best time to start working out? Is it when you have something to look forward to? Is it when you are starting with a time frame like the New Year's? Or is it today? So, what do you think? And I want to share my thoughts and the pros and cons and how to use each of these on the podcast today. Thank you so much for being here. So, the first one I want to talk about is having something planned, like something, what I like to call something to look forward to. But a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, okay, I need to lose weight because I'm going to a wedding and my ex-husband's there, or I need to look good because I'm going to a family reunion and I want my arms to look great because we'll be wearing sleeveless outfits. Like whatever it is, like I have something coming up and I want to change something about myself right now so that it's working for me in the future. Or another one, the one that I really like is like, I want to get in shape so that I can go on a long hiking trip or a big kayaking trip or whatever. So like there's lots of things that we can have that's something planned, very specific in the future. And the pros on that, I mean, there's a lot of good starting with this. One of them is it's an easy time frame. You have something very specific. You know how long you need to work out for, or exercise for, whatever it is that you need to be doing to get in your best, I wouldn't say best shape, but to get to that place where you feel really good, right? So you know what the time frame is. You also know like exactly what you're going to need to do, because it's pretty easy if you have a very specific time frame to figure out exactly what it is that you need to be doing, right? And our brains like specific time frames. There's like not this nebulous future out there. I want to start exercising or moving more and eating better so that I feel better in the future. Like that's a little nebulous for our brains. We like specificity, I guess is the best way of saying that. We like that. Cons, there are cons to this. One of them is that the drop-off rate after a specific event is huge. It's huge. I'm sorry. I hate to even say that out loud, but it's true. Like I see it happening all the time because the momentum factor that you had is gone, right? It's gone. And if you don't have something else and something next, then there's just no real push. And sometimes after a big push, we need a little bit of a break. And I'll talk about that more in a second, but we need a little bit of a break. And then we get inertia and we never get back into the movement. So remember, like a body in motion stays in motion. One of the easiest examples I have of this is here in Houston. Like all across the country, they have these rides, but they're called the MS rides. So here in Houston, it's the MS 150. And it's where you ride your bike from Houston to Austin. It's a ride, like it's 150 miles. It's actually like 168, I think. And it's 2 days and it requires a lot of effort. Okay. And I mean, maybe there are a couple of people out there that doesn't require a lot of effort to, but normally there's a lot that happens and it's time consuming to train for it. And when you do it, you realize that you just did something pretty hard. There is a joke among kind of the consistent biking community that if you want to get a really good bike, wait for a week after the MS 150. And I say it's a joke, but it's very, very true. Like all bikes, not all bikes, but a lot of bikes get sold like a week, a month afterwards because somebody has had this goal, they've done it, and now they're done. They've had enough. They've had enough of their bike. They're no longer friend with their bike. They have trained too hard and they're just finished. And then what happens is that all this foundation of fitness that they've created goes away because they just stop. So that's when having some future plan is good and it kind of backfires. So the way to use it, like the way to use a future plan, super easy. One of them is you have multiple, you have multiple plans, right? It's like if you're doing the MS 150, then you have that. And then 3 months down the line, you're going to plan for something else. Or if it's the wedding, then after the wedding, 3 months down the line, you're going to plan for a 10K. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you have something else to look forward to. Okay. Another one is just knowing your why. Like a lot of times these whys are superficial, right? I mean, it's nice to look great, of course. It's nice to have arms that you can go sleeveless in. It's all those things are nice, but they are superficial because it's just a matter of how you look. So if you can add your why to that, and your why is what's going to really matter. Like if you're taking care of yourself, then you're going to be healthier for a longer time. If you're taking care of yourself and you're building arm strength, then you can go do things that you couldn't do before. Whatever it is, it's like actually one of my clients, she always uses this example, and it's such a good one because she has gotten stronger and stronger. And now she said that when she flies, she has no problem just grabbing that bag that she's carrying, a big suitcase or the whatever, the suitcase that fits in the overhead bin, and putting it up in the overhead bin. Boom, she's done. She feels good, right? So that's a why. She's capable of doing the things that she wants to do. And putting a bag in an overhead bin may not sound like a big why, but if you think about it and you extrapolate it out, it's huge because all the other things that you can do, because now you're feeling better and you're stronger and you take care of yourself, right? Another one is that what you want to do after you've had a planned event is do take a timed break, okay? And the reason I suggest this is because if somebody's been working a long time towards something, like let's use that MS 150 bike ride as an example. So they've been working a long time toward that. Normally people train for like 4 months easily, and then they do it. If they don't have a planned break, then everything just kind of stops. But if you've got a planned break and you said, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks off. And 2 weeks after that, I'm going to go out and I'm going to ride my bike, however far it is that you want to ride it. Like maybe your training rides were 30 or 40 miles. I'm going to go ride my bike 20 miles, or I'm going to go ride my bike 10 miles. Doesn't matter. Time break and then a restart. Okay. You want to always have a restart. And then some other things that you can do is like check out Fit is Freedom. We'll have a link in the show notes. And we frequently do like upcoming events. Like we'll have upcoming adventure events, or we have upcoming challenges and things like that. So you've got something to shoot for as a group. And then you've always got something to look forward to, which I think is truly a magical thing. I mean, it is one of the things that I use myself. Okay. Next one. And this is one lots and lots of people use, which is waiting until the new year. Should you wait until the new year? And when this episode first airs, we're probably a few months from the beginning of the year, from January, excuse me. And you may be listening to this right at New Year's. I don't know. But a lot of times people wait for the New Year's because it's such a, I don't know, it's almost a cliche, right? Like starting those resolutions in the new year. And there's a lot of pros, right? I mean, one of the pros is like you've got this wave of optimism. You've got this wave of you just have a wave pushing you along, right? It's after the holiday excess, so you're ready for a change. Another one is that getting support from others is usually pretty easy then, especially accountability, because there's other people on the wave, right? Everybody's like pushing for that new thing, that new year, that new whatever it is. And there's often deals, right? Like just plain old deals. You want to join a gym? Usually a good deal. Want to find a trainer that's, doing a 10 for 7 package or something? You can usually find it. It's out there. Some of the cons though, you have to wait. Like you're waiting for this wave of the new year. And a lot of times we'll think, well, that's okay. I've got all the holidays to get through, wherever you're living, all the holidays to get through. So we've got November and December to get through. Well, that can lead to excess, more excess than we might normally have in the holiday period because, well, we're just starting again, right? Another con is that if it didn't work in the past, let's say this was a goal or a resolution or a desire of yours in the past, and it didn't work, You might not be thinking about the fact that it didn't work, but somewhere back there in the recesses of your mind is the fact that last time you did it, failed, right? I mean, that's how we feel. That's how we think in our heads, right? I tried this before and it didn't work. I didn't do it. So something like that can hold us back. It can really kind of like dig away at our minds. Um, and then another one is that typically there's a plateau. And look up the numbers. I mean, I don't even like the numbers that I hear all the time, but usually there's some sort of plateau at about 3 weeks that's really, really high. And when I say a plateau, is what I mean is that you've been going strong for 2 weeks, that first 2 weeks of the new year, rocking and rolling. And then week 3 comes along and all of a sudden, well, kind of like life happens, right? You get busy with a job or something changes. You have to get the kids back to school or whatever it is, right? And life kind of starts encroaching on what you've been doing and things slow down. So be aware that there could be a plateau. And then just think about that. It is a specific time frame, so you always have to wait for it. One of the biggest times of the year that people contact me about one-on-one coaching is in March. And you think it'd be in January, right? You think it'd be the new year. Nope, it's not. It's March. And it's because people have that wave of new year, right? I'm going to do this thing. I've got it. And then it might peter out for 95%, right? And it's like one of my clients, Lauren, said to me one time, she said, well, I am here because January was amazing. I did everything I said I was going to do. February was awful. I did nothing I said I was going to do. And it's March now, and I'm not stopping. I am not going to give up. So she didn't, which was brilliant, right? So think about that. Like, it is a just what I like to call the wave of optimism that happens at the beginning of the year. But so how do you use this, right? Wave of optimism is not bad. It's not bad. You just need to know that it is something that you might run out of and you need to plan. Okay. Another thing is I love saying, start really big in your mind, start really big in your desires, but start really small in your actions instead of the flip, because a lot of times we start really big in our actions and then we can't keep up. So start small in the things that you're going to do, but start big in the things that you want. Not the goals. I mean, I don't even like using the word goals. I like using the word desires. Start big in those desires that you want, whether it's play or a way of being in your body or whatever it is. Start big with that and start small with your actions. Get some accountability. Like, this is a great time for accountability. There's usually lots of people out there that really, are ready for a buddy or ready for some accountability. And it's an easy time to find that person, right? And so another thing is that if you're waiting for that New Year's or that New Year's time, New Year's resolutions, we'll call them, you don't have to wait for the new year. Like, just start small today. And if you need to, come check out Fit is Freedom, because we have great community, like an amazing community, and all the accountability and all the wave, the surf. I think of it as, I literally think of it as a surf wave that's going to push you along. All right. The next one is starting today. I see people waiting all the time because they need to wait for the perfect time. Okay. The perfect time is, well, the perfect time in my head is now. The perfect time in their head might be, I'm going to wait until next week starts, or I'm going to wait until I'm done with this project at work, or I'm going to wait until, I have one client who she used to tell me, I'm going to wait until the kids get back to school. That's when we're going to start working together again. And then the kids would get back to school, and then she'd be like, okay, now I've got all these things I've got to do. So as soon as the kids are out for summer, let's start doing work together. And I'm like, I love you dearly, and we're just not going to do this anymore. You need to start today. And so think about this, like the pros. If you start today, you just don't have to wait, right? It sounds so simple, but it's not always intuitive. You don't have to wait for anything. You just go do something. And that's true. You just go do something. Any action is better than no action. Okay. An easy walk, if you think about it, just an easy stroll outside can lead to you coming home and thinking, I should be drinking more water. And then that more water leads to better food choices. And those better food choices and a little bit of exercise leads to better sleep. I mean, it's the domino effect, right? So think about that. Like starting now makes everything simpler. And the other one is you don't feel bad mentally. I have and know so many people who beat themselves up because they say they're going to start and they never do. They just can't ever quite get the right time. Things just don't quite line up for them. The constellations aren't in the correct order. Start now, start small. Okay. Imperfect action always trumps non-action. Another way of saying that is any movement is better than none. So some of the cons, there are cons for starting now, right? Huge perception about time suck. That starting an exercise plan or starting a fitness plan or starting a wellness and movement plan, doesn't matter what you call it. Getting moving is going to get in the way of life. It's going to get in the way of work. There's a big project coming up. I don't have time to, devote to this. I've got to pay attention to that and then I'll start. My family's coming to visit. I don't have time for this. Then I'll start when they're done. I have travel. Like there's just so many things. And that's the biggest one, is that we just have this perception of the fact that it's just going to take all our time, and it won't. And then another one is that you have to create your own motivation. If you're going to start right now, you're going to have to create your own action wave, because it's today, right? It's now. Maybe it's tomorrow morning, but you might not have a buddy that you're going to work with. And if you do have a buddy, go listen to the podcast about buddies. I'll put the episode number in, because you want to have the right buddy and you want to have the right number of buddies too, right? And you may not be able to find a challenge today and you think, well, I want a challenge to get started. Don't. Just start small, start now. So think about this. Well, actually, first I want to tell you about somebody. And this is somebody who is not a client of mine. Her name's Nikki, and I hope Nikki's not listening. And if she is, sorry, Nikki, but I'm going to have to give you a little grief here. So I get an email from her about every 3 to 4 months. And it's pretty much like clockwork. Every 3 to 4 months, I'll get this email and she'll say, I'm ready to get going. This is time. And she has a dream. She has a really big dream, actually. She's been wanting for years and years to go kayak in Cabo San Lucas along the coast where there's manta rays and there's seals, I think. I mean, there's all kinds of things out there. She's been wanting to do this forever. And she always finds reasons not to start training, not to start getting, not to figure out what she needs to do to have this dream. And so she'll say to me, this is the time. And I'll be like, sure, drop me a note. Let me know when you're ready to start. And then radio silence. 3 months later, I hear from her again. So don't do that. Don't do that. Like starting now can be so easy. Like the easiest thing I can say is start thinking about how can you get curious? Like, how can you start small? Like if you're going to be curious, ask yourself the question, like if I was going to start small, if it was going to be easy, if I don't even need to be any big dreams right this second, if it's just today and you were curious about it, what's something easy and quick that that you'd have time for? That's something you could do right now. Like find a 15-minute video online. Do nitros. You've heard me talk about them. I'll link to them in the show notes. 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes is all it takes. But start now, right? Go for a walk outside. Just take the stairs if you need to. It doesn't matter. Just think about it. How can I start? If I was going to be curious, what could I do right now? Nikki, if you are listening and you want to be curious, what could you do right now? You could do a little Googling, what's it going to take to be able to kayak for 7 days down the Sea of Cortez. Like, what do I need to be able to do? If you decide to come be a part of Fit is Freedom, we've got a training plan for that, because I think it's super important, right? So think about that. Like, be curious, start small. What are things I can do right now that's going to matter? Sorry, Brad, let's try that again. I would love for everyone to come join us in the Fit is Freedom, because like, we use all of this. We use having things to look forward to. We have future fun plans. We have accountability. We have community. Like, we have challenges. I mean, we've got all of these things because they all work. Everything that we've talked about today will work as long as you put a little bit of time, effort, curiosity, desire behind it. These are the things that will work for you, all of them. Okay. And think about the idea. I mean, I know I say start small, and then I'm going to say something that may sound counterintuitive, but throw everything at it. And by that, I mean, just look for all these things that we've talked about today that might work for you, and then do some of them, and then do some more of them, and make some plans, and don't stop, because you can skip a day, you can skip a week, you can even skip a month, but then things start not working as well. Then we start hurting more. Our moods change, our sleep sucks. I mean, we gain weight. Like, all the things that we don't want to do starts happening when we stop moving and taking care of ourselves. And taking care of ourselves is all of it, right? It's the mindset and the movement and eating well. And it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be consistent. Okay? You don't have to go out, and in fact, I would rather everyone on this podcast not go out and make huge plans like, this is what I'm going to do, because when we make these huge goals, it is overwhelming. But if we start small and say, you know what, today I'm going to drink 2 more glasses of water, I'm going to go for a walk, and by gosh, I'm going to put down my phone an hour before I want to go to sleep so I get better sleep. Like, just start small, start easy. If you're ready, come check out our Fit is Freedom Life, because we all know that we can't wait another year to start doing the things that we need to do. We can't wait for this, because as soon as you start doing the things that we all know that we need to be doing, then life shifts. Like, you go from wishing that you could feel good to being able to do whatever it is that you want to do, and have that freedom life that happens. So think about it. Going back real quick, just remember that you can use a planned event. You can use the new year. You can use today, but whatever you do, go ahead and do it, because your future you is counting on you. Thanks so much for being here.